Hey, Rest Friends, what's up? I'm Iridian Fierro, and welcome to our Rest Friend interview series where every episode we feature a wrestler that we think that you need to know. I'm so excited to be chatting with this wrestler today because the first time that I saw them in the ring, they were just incredible. So please help me in welcoming the West Coast Pro Heavyweight Champion and future franchise, Titus Alexander. Titus, how are you?
Doing great, living the dream.
Living the dream. So how first of all, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
What an amazing win. What was that like for you?
It was amazing. It was awesome. It's still, you know, not really sunk in that like I guess king of the West Coast, but it was an amazing experience to have family there and friends there and see all that stuff. That was really awesome.
So you said, I guess, king, but like in quotations, but like technically you are, right? Like,
No, I don't consider myself the king of the West Coast, but for those of you who do, I appreciate it.
so before we talk about your matches and how you got into wrestling, I need to talk to you about your theme song because this
Right.
is something that I talk to my friends about all the time. Like, oh my God, if you were a wrestler, what would your theme song be? Or like, how would you pick that? So yours is Icon by Jaden Smith, which is a beautiful choice, by the way. I love that song. So how did you pick a theme song?
Um, so originally, when I first started wrestling, it was "Welcome to the Party" by French Montana,
Hmm.
and I really liked that song because it was really energetic and stuff like that. And then I wanted to switch it up, and the main reason why I switched it up to Icon, other than it being a great song, was my dad did not want me to do it. He's just like, "No, dude, don't do that song. No, dude, keep Welcome to the Party." Blah blah blah. I was like, "No, whatever." And then I did it when he wasn't at the show, one of the shows at West Coast. So I did it, and then he saw, and he's like, "Did you change your song?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then finally, he's like, all right, I actually do like the song." And then it just stuck. I love the song.
I love that you debuted it when your dad wasn't there because I
Of
don't.
course. I might get in trouble. I don't know.
Yeah, if you get in trouble, oh well, because he wasn't there. So smart choice on your part.
Exactly, exactly.
So let's talk about you growing up. How did you get introduced into wrestling? Because I know that you had your first match when you were 6 years old. I don't
Yes,
even
yes.
remember what I was doing at 6 years old, and you were having your first wrestling match. Talk to me about that. Do you remember a lot of it?
um, I don't remember like the exact stuff we did, but like
Mhm.
leading up to it, my dad ran SPW down here in Sac, and so they were just always training in our garage. That's where they trained for a while and before shows. And my dad's been doing it since before I was born, so it's just always been a part of my life. And before class, or even sometimes during class, me and my sister would just be messing around and blah blah blah. And then it got pitched. I think of course, my dad pitched the idea of, "Hey, would you guys want to do it?" And we were just like, "Sure." And then we it was never like "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore, Dad." It was just it was always, "Okay, when are we going to train again?" Because we're and then even when we weren't training, me and my sister were still going over the stuff, and it was just a lot of fun. That's what those I can remember. It was just a lot of fun, a lot of routine. I mean, of course, we're six,
Yeah.
so, and of course, like when you're going to school at 6 years old, and you're like, "I'm a professional wrestler,"
Yeah.
and even though you're not, but saying that to your friends, you're the cool guy in class.
So you have such a beautiful relationship with your dad, and it clearly shows with that last match that you guys had together. And it's one of the moments that has meant everything to him, and that was sharing the ring with you. So talk to me about what that was like and how your dad has impacted your wrestling career.
My dad, man. Yeah, he that match was something to just always remember. It'll always be in my mind. And like our bond that we have, man, it's just insane. It goes back to just not our my childhood growing up, and all the stuff that we just been through, just life, football, just everything. So it just meant a lot to finally, because it was always I don't know if we're going to be able to wrestle, like, who was going to do it, whatever. And we always talked about it, and we've always, on the road trips, we've always had the throwing out ideas of what we can do, and him always saying, "No, I'm not doing that." But But yeah, so going into that match, it meant a lot because that is my hero, and that will always be my favorite wrestler. But yeah, it meant a lot.
It it was literally amazing, and, like, at the end, when you literally got on your knees and you were, like, bowing down to your
Yeah,
dad, and your dad was so emotional, you had just given this wonderful speech, and you could just tell that for the both of you, and even, like, your sister, like, you guys are such a tight family, and that is just so
yeah,
nice to see that he's super supportive of you, to train you and to do stuff like
right.
that because a lot of maybe people who are wrestlers don't want their kids in the business necessarily.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, that was one of the conversations we've had because I feel like everyone's like, "Oh, is your dad forcing you into the business?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "No, I chose. Like, I asked him to do it. Like, stemming back to when I was 6 years old, all I remember was the fun parts of it, and becoming that bond with family and meeting new people and stuff like that. So after football, I was just like, yeah, let's just give it a go again and see where it takes me. And then look.
And look where you are now, a champ.
Right, right.
So you've had some really, really incredible matches with the likes of Speedball Mike Bailey, with Jacob
Yes,
Fatu, with Will Ospreay, which that was, oh my
right,
goodness, was really good, and Christopher Daniels. So who do you think
right.
so far has been your greatest opponent?
Greatest opponent. I feel like there's two ways to go to this
Mhm.
because athletically, I would have to say Will Ospreay because he is just pound for pound the best wrestler in the world, in my opinion, at least. He is just overall the best. He can do anything. He can hit you, whatever. Um, Mentality wise, would be Alex Shelley, because that match really tested me mentally. Like going into it, I had to just, watching him grow up, getting a lot of my um, momentum and style of wrestling from him, and watching him on TNA Impact and so on and so forth. But watching him and wrestling him was a different kind of battle I had to go through, because like watching him growing up, he was one of my favorites and stuff like that. And I was really happy that I got to wrestle him and, beat him for the prestige belt, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, wrestling him and Osprey would be, they're right there, right next to each other.
Yeah. So you did talk about how you played football growing up. So being an athlete for most of your life, did that make transitioning into becoming a wrestler easier or harder for you?
I would say it's about the same for everybody, because there's two aspects for it, like athletically coming from, football and stuff like that. I had traits that did good for wrestling, leadership and ring presence, and, cause being a quarterback and stuff like that, you have to be a leader. Um, but I would say psychology wise and keeping your body healthy, for wrestling, it was the hard part that I struggle with. And just training and learning all this stuff and learning all this different styles of wrestling it was very difficult. And it's something that I'm still struggling with, but with people, all these, people helping me out, I'm able to, hide it a little bit, but yeah, athletically, yes, it did help me, mentally. It was a bit of a struggle,
Okay.
but then again, I had my dad there, so
So you were fine.
that was fine.
So wrestling does take up a lot of your time and training. I know you mentioned that. What do you like to do during your free time or during your days off?
Um, Days off.
You said I take no days
I
off.
um, I really like hanging out with friends or family. I like going out, having a good time. There's stuff that like working out, of course, but that also just goes back to training. But
Yeah.
yeah, going to the movies, just hanging out, man. Like I feel like us wrestlers, like we're always constantly on the go, on the go, on the go. And there's always nights where, I just came back from vacation. So that was nice. But it's not something that I do all the time, so I can't really say that, oh, that's my hobby is like going on vacation. But um yeah, hanging out with friends because that's finally where I just take a step back and I'm just like, okay, I'm here. Let me watch some football. Let me watch a sport. Let me just watch a movie, like whatever, and eat some very nice food.
And eat some nice food. Exactly.
Yes,
So,
food
Titus,
is life.
yes, you've had tremendous success and you are honestly very incredible in the ring. What
Thank
is the
you.
most important thing that you've learned from wrestling so far?
Oof. What is the? I would say. Mm, it's a tough question. I would have to say, just handling your business in your terms, like just in and outside of the ring. That's always stuck with me, and just work hard. That's always just hard work. Hard work pays off. That's what I live by.
Yeah. You have said that one of your favorite wrestlers growing up was Ricky Steamboat. But
Yes.
moving away from the favorites, who did you absolutely hate as a wrestler growing up? Like for me, I hated Edge. It was just like no for me. But I love him now. You know, you grow up and
Of
you
course.
learn
Yeah.
the characters and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, mine was Edge. Who did you absolutely despise?
I hated, absolutely hated Triple H. I hated Triple H, and people like that. Like I hated Triple H, I hated Randy Orton,
Mhm.
and I hated Edge as well
Yeah.
because they were all going against John Cena, and I was a huge John Cena mark as a kid. And like I had the John Cena backpack, I was wearing jorts, and yeah, I was just such a fan of his. And of course, I love them now. Like I love Randy Orton now, I love Triple H, I love Edge, but as a kid,
Okay, so this is where you and I are the same because I absolutely love John Cena. As we're literally
right?
talking right now, I literally have a mini John Cena
Let's
figure.
go.
Um, and when AJ Styles came back to, came to the WWE, I had a huge
Yeah.
problem with him and with the Good Brothers because they were always beating up
Oh,
John Cena.
John
And I
Cena.
was like, oh my God, here we go again. My boy can't catch a break.
I know,
So
man.
I
No.
just think that's hilarious that you are also a huge fan of Cena. So, but
Of course.
connection, I appreciate that. So, talking about WWE, I want you to tell me about your 205 live experience. And your dad was there and you kind of gave him a surprise. So, tell me what your 205 live experience was.
Right. So it came about. We were just doing extra work here in Sacramento at the Golden One, and they were doing, I believe it was Raw, and it was also some sort of taping for whatever. And then 205 Live was the next one, and they were like, "Hey, we need people to wrestle against the Singh brothers. You got to be under masks." And I was already doing a mask character at that point, so of course I brought it. You always got to be prepared. And we were just sitting there before the show, and they're like, "Hey, does anyone have their own masks?" Because they brought these weird masks out, like it was like a masquerade party. It was like just the eyes,
Oh,
and it was. I was just like, I have my own, and they're like, cool. And there was another guy there that had their mask. And they're like, you guys want to do it? And we're like, yep, sure, whatever. So we met them backstage, we went over, and I was telling my dad because he was thinking about leaving early, and he'll pick me up later, and because he was going to go out to eat with my uncle and a couple of other friends, and I was like, no, dude, like it's almost over, like. There's a really nice match here that you might enjoy, and I think it was Drew Gulak and Chad Gable was the match that's that I pitched, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll stay. And then right before that match was us, and he walked out and he recognized my pants that I had on, and he's like, "That's." I don't know if I can cuss, but this
yeah,
is his
yeah, go
exact
ahead.
words.
Yeah.
He goes, "That Titus," and he used to taking pictures of me and everything. And when I met him later on the outside, he's like, "You," and gave me a big hug. Congratulations and everything. It was a cool experience because I really like those moments where I try to hide as much as I can from my dad because he's um, I like popping him because like I try to keep
Yeah.
him guessing, but there's some stuff where I just can't hold back and I have to tell him.
I love how that surprise element. Like, are you good at keeping things from your dad?
Sometimes there's moments where I'm like, Dad, holy fuck, like, blah, blah, blah. But other times where I don't tell him stuff, and he's like, oh shit, I know, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, or like he'll see an announcement of one of my matches and he'll pop for it. He'll text me right away. And same thing with Vinny Rosario. I try to keep as much, even though you know, he knows a crap ton of wrestling, and he's wrestling still. But I try to keep as much as I can away from those two.
Oh my God. And I mean, I guess I feel like that's the situation with like all parents. Like there's some things that you can try, but they're gonna figure it out at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
yeah. I agree.
Alrighty, so we are now to our portion of our 10 out of 10 game where I'm going to give you a few scenarios and you are going to
Right.
tell me how you would rate them on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being the absolute worst feeling, like you absolutely hate it, and 10 being just incredible. So, first scenario is taking your first bump in the ring.
I would say 4.
4. Okay.
Bittersweet.
Okay.
Bittersweet.
All right. Sharing the ring with your dad.
Oh, 10. If I could go above 10.
Oh, I love that. Losing your first match.
Oh, 10. There's no like, it's the feeling that comes after that you did it. You know, like you're like, hey, I just had my first match. It's awesome. You
Oh.
know,
Meeting fans after a match.
absolutely 1000% 10.
10.
I love it.
Finally winning your first championship.
I would say I'll probably get heat for this, but 8.
An 8. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I know I see it. There's room for bigger moments. I totally see it.
yeah, and it's I take it as, you know, it's cool. I got the belt. They trust me, and then it's the damn. There's a lot more pressure on me now.
All right. Getting booed during a match.
10, absolutely 10. I love it.
Really?
Boo me. Say all that you want. I love it.
Oh my goodness. That I think that's kind of crazy. I was having a conversation with Crash Jackson and he was like, "Well, if I'm the bad guy, you know, you're supposed to boo me." But I don't think people like getting booed, but you are one of them. So that's
Oh,
good to
I love
know.
it. Oh, I love it.
So
It's so
are
amazing.
you going to encourage people to boo you now or you still want cheers?
I mean, that's tough because, like, you know, I guess you have to go back to that. If I'm by a guy, boo me, whatever. But
Mhm.
if I'm doing my job enough where you have to boo me and you absolutely hate me, that's where I really love it, you know?
Oh my
But if I, like, you know, get, you know, knocked out or whatever and you're booing, then I kind of take that personal. But I hope no one's booing as I'm getting knocked out.
Let's hope not. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not about that life here. All right, so I do have to ask you something about being a champion. Um, do you ever walk out in public with your championship title, or is that like it's with me in the ring and then it's with me in the car and then at home? What like are you showing up to like a restaurant with your title?
No.
Are you getting free
Oh, no.
food? Like what's happening?
Never. I would never do that. Because one thing, it's because, you know, like, there's people that, like, if you take it out and people are, oh, can I take a picture with it? You never know if that person's going to steal it.
Hmm.
That is also into it.
Yeah.
But right after you win a belt, in my person, or, you know, I win it, I take it to the back. Here you go. I'm going to lose this belt. So don't ask me to take it home with me. Don't ask me to take it anywhere unless you
Yeah.
need me to, because I will forget it and we're screwed. So that's why I don't take the belt anywhere.
I actually like that because I think that I would also be very paranoid having it
Yes.
just
Yes.
with me. So I can only imagine what it's like for a champion and you're like, there's so much on my shoulders already. And now I gotta
Exactly.
focus about not only getting myself and my gear to the show, but also the belt, which is
That's for the
very
belt.
important.
Yeah, if I can't remember to bring my own shoes, you know, that have to bring everywhere, I really can't forget the belt, you know?
Alrighty, Titus. So I have just had a blast talking to you today.
I do have PWG coming up on November 6th down in LA against one of the OGs, Ray Horace, and I'm super excited for it. And then I have King of Indies going against Dragon Lee, you know, I think 2 or 3 time King of Indie champ. So that's going to be really fun, and I hope people come out, support, watch it. It's going to be an incredible show. A lot of new faces to the Bay. So, and as of now, I think that's it for November. I think. Don't quote me on that. I think.
You think. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me today. You've just been great. So Rest Friends, don't forget that this episode is available in podcast form and on YouTube. And we will see you all next time. And Titus, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.